stop putting coffee grounds on every plant in your yard. 3 are quietly dying because of it. 3 things in the next 11 minutes. 1. The chemistry reason why used coffee grounds are almost pH neutral. That is the exact opposite of what YouTube taught you. Do exactly which 5 plants actually thrive on them. Which 3 popular plants they slowly kill. Oregon State University Extension tested used coffee grounds straight from your coffee maker. The pH came back between 6.5 and 6.8. That is close to neutral. It is not acidic. My grandmother learned this the hard way. She poured used grounds on her lavender bed every spring for years, wondering why it kept thinning. It was not her green thumb. It was the chemistry nobody explained. The answer is in this video. And it starts with eggshells. Here is the honest version. Part 1. Why used coffee grounds are almost pH neutral and why that changes everything you think you know about them. Part 2. 2 kitchen analogies that explain the chemistry in plain language. Part 3.8. Plants, 2, scraps, 1, checklist. You can screenshot 11 minutes, no measuring required. 1 honest limit up front. These 2 scraps are not magic, and they do not work for every plant. In fact, 3 very popular plants are quietly declining in gardens right now because of them. That is where we start. Stop listening to the 10-year-old advice. Every gardening channel says to sprinkle coffee grounds and eggshells on everything. They are free. They are organic. There is no downside. Here is what nobody mentions. They have completely opposite effects on different plants. Here's the thing. Oregon State University Extension tested used coffee grounds. Specifically the kind from your coffee maker, not the bag at the store. The pH came back 6.5 to 6.8. Not acidic, almost neutral. The same as most garden soil already. The channels telling you coffee grounds acidify soil are testing fresh, unbrewed grounds from the store bag. Those do run around pH 4.5. But used grounds, the ones you are actually putting in your garden, have lost most of that acidity to your morning cup. A subscriber messaged me last fall. She had been adding used grounds to her lavender bed every spring for 3 years. Fewer flowers every year, weaker stems every season. She had tried everything except stopping. Deliberate. It was not her watering schedule. It was not the sunlight. It was chemistry she did not know she was changing. The problem is not these 2 ingredients. They are genuinely useful, deliberate. The problem is applying them without knowing the chemistry. And the chemistry is actually simple. 2 rules, that's all. Let me show you those 2 rules now. If you can squeeze a lemon, you already understand Rule 1. Rule 1. Squeezing a lemon into water moves the acid into the water. The lemon rind left behind tests close to neutral. Used coffee grounds work the same way. The acid extracted into your coffee cup, what stayed in the filter, is close to neutral. This is why used coffee grounds will not reliably lower your soil pH for acid-loving plants. Rule 2. Eggshells are calcium carbonate. Pour vinegar on chalk and it fizzes. The calcium dissolves and releases. Pour plain water on the same chalk and nothing happens. Your soil works the same way. Soil below pH 6.5 is acidic enough to dissolve eggshell calcium and release it to roots. Above that pH, eggshells just sit in the ground. That is the only window where they actually work this season. One more correction before the plant list. Most channels say coffee grounds lock up nitrogen for 2 to 3 weeks. Deliberate. A 2025 study in the Soil Science Society of America journal measured closer to 100 days. That means grounds applied this week lock up nitrogen well into fall. Plan for the long game, not the quick fix. Here's why this matters. 3 plants on the list ahead need well-drained, relatively poor soil. For them, extra moisture and slow nitrogen lockup are a slow problem. The other 5 have exactly the opposite need. That is the entire chemistry. Match the scrap to what the plant already wants in the soil. The 3 plants we are starting with are in a large portion of home gardens. There is a real chance one of them is in yours right now. And if you have been following the standard advice, you may have been hurting them without knowing it. Plant 1, carrots and root crops. 2 problems, and they work together. Deliberate. Eggshell fragments in loose soil create physical barriers. A carrot taproot growing straight down hits a hard shell piece and forks around it. That is why you get those split-branched carrots that look like they tried to grow around something. Because they did. The second problem, coffee grounds compact when they dry. A fine crust forms on the soil surface, blocking air and water from reaching the root zone. Deliberate Washington State University Extension specifically warns about this. For root crops, that surface crust slows growth significantly. Keep both eggshells and coffee grounds out of root crop beds. Both can go in the compost pile first. Plant 2 lavender. And, by extension, rosemary, thyme, and oregano. All Mediterranean herbs. Deliberate. These plants evolved on thin, rocky, alkaline soil with almost no organic matter. They do not want extra nitrogen. They do not want extra moisture. Coffee grounds deliver both. That is the dye list. 3 plants, 2 ingredients, 1 rule. If the plant evolved in poor, dry soil, skip both. But before you write off these 2 scraps, remember the promise at the start. 3 plants quietly dying, yes. But also 5 plants that respond to this same combination like a $15 fertilizer bottle. Now here is what nobody tells you alongside that warning. There are 5 plants where this same combination does exactly what fertilizer companies charge $8 to $15 per bottle to replicate. And the first one is probably sitting in your garden right now. Plant 1 tomatoes. Eggshells are 95 to 97% calcium carbonate. Tomatoes need calcium for one specific reason. Blossom end rot. That soft black patch on the bottom of the fruit. Calcium strengthens the cell walls during rapid fruit development. A shortage causes cells to collapse at the growing tip of the fruit, where expansion is fastest. The cost comparison: a bottle of CalMag supplement at a garden center runs $8 to $12. Deliberate crushed eggshells do the same calcium delivery job for essentially $0 per plant. Only if your soil pH is below 6.5. One Hedge Michigan State Extension notes blossom end rot is often triggered by uneven watering first. Fix the irrigation before you worry about calcium. Eggshells are the backup, not the primary fix. Coffee grounds also help tomatoes. They improve soil structure in sandy or clay-heavy soils and support leafy growth through slow nitrogen release. Practical dose: 2 tablespoons of crushed eggshell powder and 1 small handful of used grounds per planting hole mixed into the top 2 to 3 inches of soil. Plant 2 peppers. Same calcium pathway as tomatoes. Same blossom end rot risk during rapid fruit set. Coffee grounds, again, improve soil structure and add slow nitrogen for leaf growth. Deliberate: apply the same way crushed eggshell powder and used grounds mixed into the planting hole, not piled on the surface. Plant 3 roses. A 2024 study in the Polish Journal of Environmental Studies found coffee grounds had the greatest impact on soil microbial abundance in rose beds compared to other organic amendments tested. More soil microbes means better nutrient cycling, healthier root environments. Deliberate: the evidence is for microbial activity, not directly for bloom count. A healthier soil environment tends to support healthier plants. Plant 4 blueberries. This one needs a correction first. A lot of videos claim coffee grounds keep blueberry soil at the ideal pH of 4.5 to 5.5. Deliberate University of Maryland Extension reviewed this in 2025. Used coffee grounds will not lower soil pH enough to benefit blueberries. You cannot acidify soil with something running at pH 6.5 to 6.8. What used grounds do give blueberries is organic matter and slow nitrogen. Both are useful. Plant 5 hydrangeas. This is the most interesting one in the whole video. Hydrangeas are the only common garden plant where you can chemically change the flower color. Blue flowers require aluminum ions dissolved in the soil. Aluminum only becomes available when soil pH drops below 5.5. Above that, aluminum locks up and flowers shift toward pink. Here is the honest part. Used coffee grounds at pH 6.5 to 6.8 will not reliably shift your hydrangeas blue. You need fresh, unbrewed grounds at around pH 4.5, used consistently, combined with aluminium sulfate for reliable color shift. Used grounds alone are not enough for that. In combination with a proper acidification program, they add organic matter that supports overall soil health. But do not skip the aluminum sulfate. One bonus myth while we are here. Matter of fact, eggshells deterring slugs. The Royal Horticultural Society ran a 6-week experiment testing eggshells, copper tape, sharp grit, pine bark, and wool pellets as slug barriers. Deliberate. None of them worked. Slugs have mucus. They cross broken glass. Save your eggshells for the soil, where they actually do something. One safety note before the checklist. Coffee grounds contain caffeine. Caffeine can be harmful to dogs and cats if ingested in significant amounts, according to ASPCA Animal Poison Control. Always mix used grounds into the soil rather than leaving a pile on the surface. If you suspect your pet has consumed a large amount, call ASPCA at 888-426-4435. Here is where we started. 10 years of advice saying sprinkle both on everything. Here is where the chemistry puts us. Used coffee grounds, pH 6.5 to 6.8. Good for organic matter soil structure and slow nitrogen. They retain moisture. Deliberate. Helpful for some plants, harmful for others. Continues after a beat. Eggshells, calcium source, but only when soil pH runs below 6.5. In neutral or alkaline soil, they sit dormant for years unless you grind them to powder first. 3 plants that do not want either: deliberate carrots and root crops, lavender and Mediterranean herbs, succulents and cacti. 5 plants that respond well when applied correctly: tomatoes, peppers, roses, blueberries with the right pH context, and hydrangeas with the right acidification program. The subscriber who had been pouring grounds on her lavender for 3 years. She moved them to her tomato bed last season. First time in 4 years, 0 blossom end rot on any fruit. She did not buy anything new. She just matched the right scrap to the right plant. Here is the checklist. Step 1. Crush eggshells to powder. 30 seconds in a mortar. Whole shells take years to release calcium in most soils. Powder works in 1 growing season. Step 2. Match to the plant. Tomatoes, peppers, and roses get 2 tablespoons of crushed powder plus 1 small handful of used grounds mixed into the top 2 to 3 inches of soil. Lavender, succulents, and carrots get skipped entirely. Step 3. Do not pile grounds on the surface. Maximum ½ an inch as mulch per Washington State University extension. A thick layer forms a crust. Mix it in instead. That is the whole system. Comment below which plant you are trying first. I read all of them. And if you have a plant not on this list and you are not sure which group it belongs to, drop it in the comments. Here is a question I want you to sit with. You can keep buying $15 bottles of CalMag every season. Or you can spend 10 minutes crushing eggshells that are already in your kitchen. Either way, I want to show you 10 more free fertilizers already sitting in your kitchen. It is the first link in the description below. Match the scrap to the plant. Less work, more harvest. Happy gardening!